please join me in welcoming Erin Brockovich.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Erin Brockovich, not Julie Roberts. I know she's from Smyrna, Georgia, very nearby, but let's just get that out of the way real quick. Sometimes I just have to take a beat. I'm a person that feels things. That's how I work, that's how I operate. I'm very instinctual, very connected to the land. This is something that's in my being that I know is in your being. I was born and raised in the Midwest, Lawrence, Kansas. And my father always taught me, an engineer, that the greatest gifts we have is our land to grow our food, our water, which is life source, our air, and the health and the welfare of our families. That's it. And he taught me about respecting the earth. And it has crushed me that over decades we have created terrible destruction to the planet. We have disrespected our land, and in turn is disrespectful to ourselves and to our neighbors. When I first arrived here today, I had a very swoony, weird feeling on 2 counts. I've been here before. I am a direct person. Some things that you'll hear are upsetting. They can make you angry. They can be frightening, upsetting. I get very upset. And as we go through tonight, and you learn things, and I'm going to share things with you, I want you to remember one thing. I believe you. You are the very ones that are living, breathing, tilling the ground, drinking the water that is having the experience. And what frustrates me, and I think you've heard it before here and there, this idea to understand what's happening requires a certain skill set and PhDs and all of that. I've heard it my whole life. When I went out to Hinckley, you're not a doctor, you're not a lawyer, you're not a scientist, you're not this, you're not that. So what is it you do know, and why should we listen to you? None of us has to be any of that. To simply be a human and to see and feel and acknowledge that pollution can be dangerous. And for me, it was the moment. You'll never convince me that I have to be all of that to determine 2-headed frogs and green water is wrong. So remember that about yourselves. This isn't about me. This is about you. This is your story. And I found myself in Hinckley, and I found myself in every single one of these environmental issues. All of you, everybody, especially moms, that get involved in these, that step up, that show up, are often told, you don't have this, you don't have that. You're being hysterical. That can't really be happening to your child. Yet they show up, they go to city council meetings, but they're constantly pushed back. And I watch them as they step away. I'm here tonight because I need you to lean into this. I want you to be informed. None of us can protect ourselves, our land, or our health if you don't know the truth. So all the information we're providing is for you to better understand what is happening in this community. And it makes me sad that I'm here because it's happening to you. You need to be your own best hero. And that is going to be my greatest work. We are going to be here to support you. There's an incredible team here. I have felt from the day, or the second I met Ben, a very kindred spirit about the connection to land, the environment, water, to health, and to welfare. The other team that is here supporting, we are all here together. Christian Archer, Bob Bocock, and I go back a very, very long way, are incredible. And I need you to know, we can't do this without you. I need you to be strong. I need you to be courageous. I need you to stand your ground. Nobody knows better about what's happening in your community, in your family, in your water, in your land, and in your backyard, other than you. You become the army that can make the change. And I'm here to remind you, I have seen it happen over and over and over again. When you show up, things change. I don't want you to think that there's any question about what's going on in this part of Georgia, in Calhoun, and in Dalton. You have a PFAS contamination, and it's a big one. Bob is going to share all of this with you, but I don't want you to make any mistake or have anyone tell you that this isn't going on. It's going on. And some of the testing has already revealed some of the highest PFAS levels we've seen to date. So, this is about you. Can I ask the room, are you familiar or have you heard about this chemical in your neighborhoods? Yes, show of hands, yes. Now, when things start happening in a big environmental case, I'm often the first person people email. I've already gotten quite a few emails. When I start getting 3, 5, 7 a day emails from a very specific pinpoint location, unbeknownst to the others that they're emailing me, I can see what they're saying and I can start recognizing patterns. Have you, and your observation over time is one of the best skills that we have. Over time, have you seen or observed changes in your animals? Show of hands. Okay, see, that's really critical. The animals tell us a lot, and the animals are impacted by PFAS as well. This one chemical, as Bob said 10 years ago, will be the largest emerging contaminant this country has ever seen. And you are not going to be alone on this. This one chemical and its land application has already destroyed the state of Maine. It's almost destroyed the state of Michigan. It is posed to do and wreak havoc here in Georgia. It has the potential to affect every single state in the nation. And I can't imagine what we're thinking when you take a toxic, hazardous waste substance and you spread it across the lands. It moves through the ground. It destroys the topsoils. It destroys the farmland. It gets into the water supply. It gets into the food chain. That's worst case scenario. And that has happened up in Maine, where the USDA failed to report by 15 months that the dairies and the cows had PFAS in the milk. They had to kill all the cows. You can no longer organically farm. The state has had to put water filtrations on every wellhead. You can't eat the eggs. It's in the chicken. It's in the eggs. And this is a very dangerous scenario that we're headed for, which is why it is all the more important. Each person in this community must stand up. We've seen him do it me. And part of my job will be here to help organize, to work with this great support, this team that's going to have your back. But I need your voice. I need you to talk. And that's why I'm asking about, are you having problems with the animals? Have you noticed in your community children, yourselves, that have had more illnesses or disease or cancer? Can you please put up your hands? So I want you to look around the room, because you're not alone. These observations are key that will help us help you. I came to Hinkley very naive. Can I give you a timeline? I was a 31-year-old single mom of 3. Today I'm 64 years old and the grandmother of 4. And I have seen this pattern happen over and over and over again. We continue to ignore the problems. We continue to kick the can down the line, and we just can't go any further. If ever there's a moment I'm going to tell this community, you need to stand up and fight, it is going to be right now. So when I was in Hinkley, the things that I learned is what I want to share with you. And it is all about being a person, a human, having a connection, being present, having an instinct. They're amazingly keen, and they can provide you everything that you need to know. So people are always saying, what is a logical step that you need to take? Your logics are your instincts. It's a common sense set of skills. I've seen that when we apply that, we find out that we were right. It gives us validation. It helps us feel stronger and to continue to go forward. So your logic's your common sense. I mean, I learned this in Kansas. You know, when the skies turned dark and the birds stopped chirping and there was a green cast in the sky and the tornado sirens went off, I didn't need to call the Weather Channel to find out if it was an F4 or an F5. I knew I needed to do something. I knew I needed to get to safety. So use your instincts. Use your power of observation about what's going on and the changes that you are seeing. Take notes, start a journal, because I do this every single day. I might forget something. I do write it down. Leverage, I talk about that. People think it's a bad word, but what I've learned in these communities, in principle, in mathematics, 1 + 1 = 2, right? In mathematics. But in principle, I've learned in every community, 1 becomes 5, that becomes 20, it becomes 50, it becomes 200, 500, 1,000 or more. It is the collection of you and the community and your courage and your bravery and working together and knowing what's happening is happening and standing strong. It's a game changer. When I was running around out in Hinkley, there was one person, PG&E didn't care. Then I found another mother, and they're like 2 mothers, we don't really care. But things changed when we became 50 mothers and 150 community members and 250. All of a sudden, they're taking note. So part of my work is to be with you, to encourage you to take these steps and trust instincts. Talk to your neighbor, get involved, and show up to meetings. So, we're no stranger to PFAS. 10 years ago, we were involved in Hoosick Falls, New York. PFAS contamination. The children were very sick, and we did blood samples on them, and it was 100 times the state standard. So, we got involved very early on. We've been up in Maine for the past 2 years, and I think that there's some information up here about Maine and the situation that they're all in. And I shared a little bit with you earlier about Maine, but this team has got them mobilized. They've gotten information. They've gotten filtration systems. They've gotten organized, and they're beginning to deal with the disaster that they have. You can't eat the fish, you can't eat the deer. Same thing's happening in Michigan. So I know this feels super dire and we're going to dump a lot of difficult information on you, but I'm going to keep coming back to you. Nothing will change or happen if we don't have you. And we have to dig deep. And as I said in the beginning, I'm going to say kind of as I start to close out, this is a moment where we're going to really have to dig deep and find our courage. And we have to find our heart. And we're going to have to find our strength to work together. Start getting information. Start getting mobilized so you can better protect your land and your health and your welfare. So it means everything to see all of you here tonight. I could stay and talk all night, but I won't because I want Bob to get here. I will be around afterwards. I want to say I'm deeply sorry. I just cannot believe that we're in this situation again. But I want you to know, whether it's here, whether it was in Flint, whether it's been in Maine, whether it's been in the Peak Louisville, every single disaster I've been involved, when we rise up, we can change things. We can make things better. And we will be stronger. And that is the greatest message I want to share with all of you tonight. You're the game changer. Superman's not coming. But that's never scared me. Because we're here. I don't know over time if we just got comfortable or complacent, but we have forgotten, and it reminds me of the Wizard of Oz. That story, if you know the moral at the end of the day, right? They were lost and they were on the yellow brick road, and the moral of the story was they had forgotten. They had a heart, they had a brain, and they had a courage to find their way through the problem. And that's exactly what I see will happen here. So, again, I'll be around all evening. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry of just a whole hard facts, but it's the only way I can tell you. We have a problem. I'm glad you're here. We're going to stay with you to the end. And just again, thank you so much for showing up and taking the first steps to making the change in what's obviously going to be a very big issue for the community. So thank you very much.